You are not financially stuck because you lack money. You are stuck because you are intelligent enough to rationalize everything. Intelligent people rarely feel trapped because intelligence creates a convincing illusion of control over uncertain financial realities. You understand investing, salary growth, and market cycles, yet something still feels structurally fragile beneath your lifestyle. If your income stopped for 6 months, would your life remain stable or immediately begin to unravel? That question feels uncomfortable because logic cannot negotiate with fixed monthly obligations you willingly accepted. I am not speaking to people without knowledge. I am speaking to professionals who pride themselves on being rational. You read financial books, listen to podcasts, and track investments, yet hesitate to reduce your performance pressure. The real issue is not your earning capacity. It is the architecture of commitment surrounding your income. Many smart professionals increase salary consistently, but their sense of freedom does not increase at the same rate. Instead, their financial obligations expand faster than their psychological tolerance for uncertainty and risk. When your compensation rises, your environment quietly pressures you to upgrade visible markers of progress. A larger home, newer vehicles, premium subscriptions, refined travel experiences, and socially impressive lifestyle signals. You label these upgrades as progress, but they are structural commitments that quietly tighten your financial flexibility. Each upgrade locks in recurring expenses that reduce your ability to pause, pivot, or step back. Smart people are exceptionally skilled at earning more, yet rarely redesign their baseline cost structure. You optimize income streams aggressively, but you almost never optimize the cost of maintaining your lifestyle. The trap feels safe because nothing appears reckless, impulsive, or dramatically irresponsible in the moment. Every financial decision seems calculated, justified, and supported by reasonable projections about future earnings. You do not spend emotionally like others, you spend logically, and that makes the trap harder to detect. Intelligence gives you better justifications for upgrades, not stronger protection against structural financial dependence. The financially naive often fail from ignorance, but intelligent professionals fail from confident assumptions about predictable income growth. You assume your skills guarantee future earnings, so you feel safe expanding long-term financial commitments. Higher intelligence strengthens your ability to justify decisions that quietly reduce your optionality over time. You rarely panic spend impulsively. Instead, you upgrade strategically in ways that appear rational and deserved. After receiving a promotion, you frame a larger mortgage as evidence of advancement rather than increased dependency. After a strong annual bonus, you rationalize a vehicle upgrade as aligning with your professional identity. After surviving a demanding year, you reward yourself with lifestyle improvements labeled as necessary self-preservation. Gradually, your brain associates achievement not with freedom, but with visible material confirmation of progress. Success triggers dopamine, and dopamine quietly searches for purchases that symbolize measurable advancement externally. Buying becomes the ritual that signals your effort translated into something tangible and socially visible. The pattern feels harmless because each upgrade is separated by months or even years. Yet, every upgrade permanently shifts your baseline cost of existing inside your own life. Hedonic adaptation ensures that yesterday's luxury quickly transforms into today's minimum acceptable standard. What once felt optional gradually becomes something you emotionally defend as necessary and justified. As your baseline rises, your tolerance for income volatility decreases without you consciously noticing. You begin structuring decisions around protecting the upgraded version of yourself at all costs. This is not reckless behavior. It is identity reinforced through controlled and repeated consumption. Intelligent people rarely overspend dramatically. They overspend structurally through incremental normalization. The danger is not impulse. It is gradual escalation of fixed obligations disguised as progress. And normalization is powerful because comfort hides risk behind apparent financial competence and discipline. Intelligent earners rarely perceive danger because nothing in their financial behavior appears chaotic or irresponsible externally. Your spreadsheets balance perfectly. Your investments grow steadily, reinforcing your confidence in long-term stability. Yet stability metrics can disguise structural fragility created by rising fixed cost commitments. The real risk does not appear in cash flow, it hides inside long-term dependency. Every fixed payment silently reduces your margin for experimentation, rest, or unexpected opportunity. Orchids. When housing, transportation, insurance, and lifestyle inflate together, your flexibility quietly compresses. Flexibility feels unnecessary while income flows smoothly, but becomes priceless when income unexpectedly pauses. Most intelligent professionals underestimate how quickly external economic conditions can change without warning. Layoffs, industry shifts, health crises, or burnout do not consult your financial projections first. You assume upward momentum continues because it has continued consistently for several recent years. That assumption creates confidence, and confidence encourages additional long-term financial commitments. You do not feel trapped because your current income comfortably supports your obligations. But comfort today often disguises the rigidity of tomorrow's required performance level. Required performance is the hidden cost attached to every upgrade you normalized. You must continue performing at a high level to maintain the identity you constructed. The house does not threaten you directly, but the mortgage demands consistent productivity. The car does not control you emotionally, but the payment schedule limits your risk tolerance. The lifestyle appears successful, yet it quietly removes your ability to pause without consequence. Financially stuck rarely feels like crisis. It feels like permanent responsibility without exit. And permanent responsibility becomes invisible when external success validates your decisions continuously. The most dangerous financial trap is not overspending. It is constructing a life that requires constant high performance. You may feel successful, yet your lifestyle demands continuous output to avoid structural collapse. When expenses require sustained excellence, burnout becomes financially catastrophic rather than inconvenient. You cannot slow down without threatening the commitments attached to your upgraded identity. Intelligence convinces you that sustained performance is normal, even when exhaustion accumulates silently. You normalize stress because income growth has historically validated your tolerance for pressure. Over time, performance stops being ambition and starts becoming survival within your own system. The higher your baseline expenses, the narrower your acceptable range of professional risk. You decline entrepreneurial ideas not from fear of failure, but from fear of instability. Instability threatens the fixed obligations you willingly expanded during confident periods of growth. This is how intelligent professionals trade long-term optionality for short-term validation. The validation feels earned, while the dependency remains abstract and emotionally distant. You rarely calculate how many months of freedom your lifestyle would currently permit. Freedom is not theoretical wealth. It is the ability to pause without financial panic. Many high earners possess impressive net worth, yet lack meaningful temporal flexibility. Temporal flexibility means controlling your time without immediate income consequences. Without flexibility, income becomes oxygen rather than opportunity within your constructed life. When income feels like oxygen, every career decision carries existential weight. You begin prioritizing stability over alignment, security over curiosity, predictability over growth. Gradually, your intelligence serves maintenance of structure rather than expansion of freedom. You begin protecting income streams not for ambition, but for maintaining the structure you constructed. The structure feels impressive externally, yet internally it reduces your range of acceptable choices. Intelligent professionals often confuse income growth with genuine expansion of personal freedom. But income without margin simply increases the scale of responsibility attached to your identity. You measure success by earnings, while ignoring how much flexibility those earnings actually provide. The higher your fixed expenses climb, the more fragile your perceived stability becomes. Fragility hides beneath comfort because nothing appears urgent while paychecks continue arriving consistently. You mistake continuity for security, assuming the system will behave predictably indefinitely. This belief forms what I call the stability illusion within high-performing professionals. Stability illusion convinces you that current momentum guarantees future resilience automatically. Yet industries shift, leadership changes, health declines, and motivation fluctuates unpredictably. When circumstances change, high overhead transforms minor disruptions into financial emergencies. Your intelligence cannot negotiate lower mortgage payments when enthusiasm for work fades. Your degrees cannot pause insurance premiums when exhaustion demands extended recovery time. The system you built requires continuous output, regardless of emotional or physical capacity. Performance becomes obligation rather than expression of talent or curiosity. Gradually, you stop asking what you want and start asking what you must maintain. Maintenance replaces exploration as the central organizing principle of your career decisions. Exploration feels risky because it threatens the financial equilibrium supporting your current lifestyle. And so intelligence, once your advantage, becomes the tool that maintains your confinement. Toitis, financially stuck does not mean you are broke. It means you constructed dependency disguised as success. Dependency feels respectable when it is backed by salary, title, and social validation. Yet respectability does not equal resilience when income continuity becomes uncertain or interrupted. True financial strength is not measured by earnings, but by tolerated periods without earnings. Optionality begins where income stops being your primary source of psychological security. Koiteri. Most intelligent professionals accumulate assets, yet rarely accumulate genuine temporal flexibility. Temporal flexibility is the ability to pause work without immediate structural consequences. Ask yourself honestly how many months you could live without adjusting your lifestyle. If the answer feels uncomfortable, your structure may be stronger than your freedom. Freedom is not theoretical net worth displayed on a quarterly investment statement. Breeze. Freedom is the capacity to say no without calculating the cost of survival. When income functions like oxygen, every career decision carries invisible pressure. Pressure narrows creativity because risk threatens the system supporting your upgraded baseline. You begin optimizing for safety instead of alignment with deeper personal values. Alignment requires margin, and margin requires disciplined resistance to lifestyle inflation. Theories. Lifestyle inflation rarely feels extravagant. It feels proportional to your improved income. Proportional growth hides danger because it appears mathematically justified and socially normal. Yet proportional expenses eliminate disproportionate opportunities that require temporary income reduction. Many intelligent earners could build optionality quickly, but they expand commitments instead. Expansion feels like progress, even when it quietly delays meaningful autonomy. The first structural shift is separating income growth from immediate lifestyle expansion. When compensation increases, freeze your baseline instead of upgrading your visible environment. Deliberate delay creates distance between earning momentum and emotional spending impulses. Distance allows capital accumulation to outpace commitment accumulation for the first time. Most professionals upgrade quickly because growth feels fragile and must be validated externally. Freezing your baseline feels counterintuitive because it withholds visible confirmation of success. Yet invisible reinforcement through asset growth strengthens long-term structural resilience. The second shift involves defining a freedom number instead of chasing arbitrary net worth. A freedom number represents years of living expenses funded without relying on salary. This number is psychological before it is mathematical or socially impressive. Once freedom becomes measurable, lifestyle inflation competes directly against autonomy. Every upgrade can be evaluated against how many months of optionality it sacrifices. This reframes consumption from reward into trade-off between appearance and independence. The third shift is upgrading only from investment returns, not from salary increases. Salary builds assets. Returns fund upgrades without increasing dependency. Barbie. This reverses the typical pattern where income expansion fuels fixed cost escalation. When upgrades are funded by returns, they do not demand additional performance. Performance becomes choice again, instead of requirement for sustaining identity. The final shift is detaching identity from visible consumption metrics. Identity anchored in assets creates stability. Identity anchored in lifestyle creates fragility. Most intelligent professionals underestimate how strongly lifestyle shapes their internal sense of identity. Over time, possessions stop being tools and start becoming proof of personal advancement. Proof feels necessary because social environments reward visible evidence of progress. The larger house or newer vehicle becomes shorthand for competence and upward movement. When identity fuses with consumption, reducing expenses feels like personal regression. Lattes. This emotional attachment makes structural simplification psychologically difficult despite logical awareness. You may understand optionality conceptually, yet resist actions that threaten your constructed self-image. The trap deepens when comparison becomes the metric for evaluating your trajectory. Colleagues upgrade homes, friends upgrade lifestyles, and you feel silent pressure to match. Matching appears harmless because your income technically supports similar expansions. Yet matching someone else's visible growth rarely aligns with your internal priorities. Each comparative upgrade increases fixed commitments that outlive the moment of social validation. Validation fades quickly, but payment schedules remain structured and non-negotiable. Eventually, you protect your image not because you value it, but because you must sustain it. Sustaining image requires sustained output, even when enthusiasm declines or curiosity shifts. Courtory. Curiosity is expensive when your lifestyle punishes income experimentation severely. The more polished your external success appears, the narrower your internal margin often becomes. Many high earners feel powerful publicly, yet privately fear disrupting their own system. Fear of disruption keeps intelligent professionals locked inside predictable but draining trajectories. And the longer the trajectory continues, the more irreversible the structure begins to feel. The structure you built gradually becomes too large to redesign without triggering deep psychological resistance. What once symbolized freedom now represents responsibility that feels increasingly irreversible. You stop asking what you genuinely want and start calculating what change might cost. Calculation replaces imagination as the dominant lens guiding your professional decisions. When imagination contracts, intelligence shifts from exploration toward preservation of stability. Lattes. Preservation demands consistency, and consistency demands ongoing high performance regardless of enthusiasm. Performance becomes obligation rather than expression of curiosity or authentic ambition. You continue producing not because you are inspired, but because the system requires it. This is the quiet pivot where ambition slowly transforms into maintenance of structure. Maintenance appears responsible, yet it rarely feels expansive or deeply fulfilling. You may earn more than ever, yet feel less capable of stepping back. As income rises, your optionality does not necessarily expand with equal speed. Financially stuck, professionals rarely look distressed. They look accomplished and perpetually tired. Exhaustion hides behind productivity because stopping would expose structural dependence. Structural dependence means your lifestyle cannot survive prolonged reduction in output. We tortures. If output slows, anxiety increases because fixed commitments remain inflexible. Inflexibility quietly narrows your willingness to experiment with uncertainty or risk. Experimentation requires slack, and slack requires resisting expansion during growth phases. Few intelligent earners intentionally preserve slack when success encourages visible upgrades. Without slack, intelligence becomes the mechanism sustaining a life that feels impossible to exit. You might live in a house that once symbolized success, yet still feel structurally constrained inside it. You might drive the vehicle you dreamed about years ago, yet hesitate to take extended time off. Your income may exceed expectations from your younger self, yet freedom remains strangely distant. The contradiction is painful because intelligence expected autonomy as a natural outcome of success. Instead, success expanded your commitments faster than it expanded your margin for choice. Lattes. You did not fail financially, you optimized income while neglecting structural flexibility. Flexibility is invisible during growth phases, but decisive during disruption or exhaustion. Ask yourself honestly whether your life could withstand deliberate pause without financial anxiety. If the answer is no, then the issue is not income but architecture. Architecture determines whether money serves you or whether you serve its maintenance. There are always two paths available, even when they appear subtle and socially indistinguishable. One path optimizes earnings and upgrades lifestyle proportionally with every increase. The other path restrains visible expansion and compounds invisible optionality deliberately. One path builds image and obligation, the other builds margin and autonomy. Both paths can look successful externally, yet only one preserves long-term freedom. The difference is not intelligence, but whether intelligence defends ego or protects optionality. You are capable of earning more, but are you willing to require less? You can construct a life that demands constant performance, or one that permits pause. Comment optionality if you recognize the trade-off between appearance and genuine autonomy. And subscribe if you are ready to redesign structure before success quietly becomes confinement.